Back to the daily grind, and shout out to the full-time patrons. Make sure to hit subscribe if you're new and hit thumbs up if you're not a baby back bagel biting bitch boy, cause you know what time it is. It's full time.
MMA.
Former UFC lightweight champion Eddie Alvarez, who my boy Gary Kindred Jr. said got melted by Conor McGregor. It's always funny to me when people say melted. Like, you hear, who is it? Kobe Covington, he's talking about Rafael Dos Anjos. He's like, yeah, I know what Jeremy Stevens did to him. Rafael Dos Anjos got melted by a featherweight. I don't know why. When someone says someone got melted, it's so funny. But yeah, some people say Eddie Alvarez got melted by Conor McGregor. With that being said, though, Eddie Alvarez is coming out and speak. He's on his way back to earning a UFC lightweight title shot. He lost his belt to Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor was recently stripped when Khabib Nurmagomedov fought Ally Quinta at UFC 223 for the undisputed title, which it sucks for Khabib because, man, he fought the number 11th ranked guy. Even though Khabib might be the best lightweight in the world, we just haven't got to see him fight Conor McGregor or Tony Ferguson. So until then, you're gonna see guys, all of these lightweights, questioning his reign as the champion. Like, yo, I want to fight Khabib. He's never fought a guy like me. Bada boom, bada bang. We just saw Kevin Lee get a win over Dustin. Kevin Lee got a big win over Edson Barboza last night, and he finished him. It was doctor stoppage. So, I mean, I seen my boy Aaron Burrell said he didn't technically finish him, but he did the damage which made the doctor stop the fight. So it was a finish. It was a finish either way. Fifth round finish for Kevin Lee. With that being said, though, Kevin Lee's another guy that's been calling out Khabib. But this is where the stuff gets interesting. Khabib Nurmagomedov's manager recently came out and said, if it's not going to be Conor or Tony, it's going to be Poirier. And I was kind of like, yo, I don't know why he's, because Eddie Alvarez is a guy that's also up there. And then also Kevin Lee had a fight coming up. And I was thinking in my mind, well, Kevin Lee's about to fight the dude Khabib beat recently in Edson Barboza. If Kevin Lee can get a decisive win over Edson Barboza and call out Khabib, I would think he might even jump Dustin Poirier in the line. And even if not jumping Dustin Poirier in the line, he's going to jump him in the rankings, because Edson Barboza was ranked number 4. Kevin Lee was ranked number 7. He just beat Edson Barboza. He's fought Tony Ferguson. So I would expect Kevin Lee to take Poirier's spot in the rankings. Well, not Poirier's spot, but take Edson's spot and go up one spot over Poirier. Now, the rankings don't mean everything. But on top of Kevin Lee's been calling out Khabib, and on top of he's fought Tony Ferguson, and he in an interim title fight and looked good in that fight. Tony Ferguson ultimately ended up getting the submission, but at the same time, Kevin Lee's fought Tony Ferguson, also Edson Barboza, Dustin Poirier. See, this is what's going to happen, because Eddie Alvarez, there's 3 guys right now that could legitimately fight for the title if Conor McGregor doesn't come back and Tony Ferguson is still injured. Eddie Alvarez, Dustin Poirier, and Kevin Lee. All 3 of these guys. So in my mind, instead of these guys just trying to talk their way into fighting Khabib, because if it's up to Khabib's manager, out of those 3 guys, it'll probably be Poirier. But Kevin Lee pointed out last night after the win, he was like, Poirier doesn't really present a challenge. And I agree with this, that we haven't saw Khabib fight. And I only agree with it in the fact that he's more of a striker. You don't look at Poirier coming in there to submit Khabib. You don't look at him coming in, you know what I'm saying, to really out-wrestle Khabib. It's kind of the same challenge we've seen Khabib face when he fought the striker Ally Quinta, a striker in Edson Barboza, a striker in Michael Johnson. So, we expect Khabib to have an advantage over a striker. If Khabib fights Dustin Poirier, he's gonna, you're kind of expecting Dustin Poirier to either get ragdolled or knock Khabib out. That's his only chance, right? So that's kind of been the case for Khabib's last fights. So when Kevin Lee says, I present a different challenge than Poirier, I think people want to see Khabib tested in a different way. I agree with that. If it were up to me and, to fight who's going to fight Khabib next, just stylistically, it would either be Eddie Alvarez or Kevin Lee. But this is how I think Poirier could jump the queue in my mind. And that's by either one of these 3 guys, since there's 3 dudes that are trying to jump Conor McGregor and Tony Ferguson if they're not going to get the shot. There's 3 of them, 2 of them fight. The winner of that fight gets the shot. You know what I'm saying? If Poirier wants to wait for the title shot because Khabib's manager said that's the route they're likely to go, I think if Eddie Alvarez and Kevin Lee fight, winner of that's got to get the title shot. I mean, they'll have more of a reason. So out of those three guys, if Poirier wants to fight Kevin Lee, if Poirier wants to fight Eddie Alvarez again, that's another fight that could happen. We already saw the no contest. There's a lot of stuff going on right now, 3, 4, and 5 of the lightweight division. On top of Tony Ferguson, who could be coming back, because you got to think, Khabib's got Ramadan to observe, right? That's going to give Tony Ferguson more time to heal up from injury, so Tony Ferguson might be able to come back and fight by the time Khabib's back. And if that's the case, then Tony Ferguson probably jumps all 3 of these guys. Tony Ferguson's got more of a case for a title shot than any of these dudes, for the simple fact he was the interim champion, number 2 contender, 10 or 11 fight winning streak in the lightweight division. But wait, if Conor wants to come back for a title shot, he gets it over all of these guys. So instead of these guys just talking about how, they should get the title shot, Eddie Alvarez is saying Khabib would rather pick off wounded gazelles, and that's cool. I'll be here waiting in the end. Eddie Alvarez, in his mind, I'll read what he had to say. I know 100% matchup-wise, wrestling, and stylistically, I watch the champions a lot. I'm a guy that beat the champion, not Dustin Poirier, not Conor McGregor, not anyone. I understand who I won against and who I lost to, but I'm the best style matchup. The champion don't want to fight me now. He knows he's going to pick off one of the gazelles one by one. He's going to take the good style matchups. I understand. Take them. I'll be waiting in the end. So he expects Khabib Nurmagomedov's team, manager and whoever, is going to help pick his next fight or whatever, to pick like the Poirier. And it's interesting because I said his manager already said, yo, if not Conor, not Tony, let's get Poirier. And it's like, that kind of goes to what Eddie Alvarez is saying. That's a good style matchup for Khabib. I want to see Khabib tested. For Khabib to shut everyone up and prove he's the best lightweight in the world, he's going to have to, beat one of these guys with an interesting style matchup. And the only 3 guys that are not the same style Khabib's kind of been dominating are Eddie Alvarez, Tony Ferguson, and Kevin Lee. So we'll see what happens, man. But Eddie Alvarez thinks that Khabib's going to be trying to, fight the better style matchups. But I will say, of course, to be fair to the champion Khabib, that there's not many bad style matchups for Khabib. Even a guy like Tony Ferguson, who's one of the best lightweights in the world, and you would think of when it comes to a striker or a Tony Ferguson who attacks from the bottom, not just with submissions but also elbows, very unorthodox fighter like Tony Ferguson, even he has a bad style matchup against Khabib. So whenever Eddie Alvarez says, I think he's going to go for the bad style matchups, does that count for Tony Ferguson? Because even a guy like Tony Ferguson, who you might think is a bad matchup for Khabib compared to who he's been fighting, strikers, you would expect Khabib to kind of smash. Unless Tony Ferguson locks up a submission, you're going to expect Khabib to really win that fight, come in there as the favorite. So the only other guy we could really say might be a bad matchup Khabib, and we just don't know yet, is a guy like Eddie Alvarez or Kevin Lee that's going to be a really strong grappler, to see how Khabib would do against another grappler. So I do think Eddie Alvarez has a little bit of a point, but at the same time, if it comes to Conor McGregor or Tony Ferguson, I think those guys are gonna get the fight. No style, you can't pick a bad style matchup when you're fighting the #1 contender. If he fights Conor McGregor, it's not because he's looking for a good matchup. It's because Conor McGregor's, for one, threw the damn dolly at the bus. They've got a bunch of reasons they want to fight. But if he goes with, the only way I'll say Eddie Alvarez is kind of right here is if Khabib's team ends up picking Poirier over Kevin Lee and Alvarez, when they've also made their own statement wins. But at the same time, we'll see what happens. I think to solve all of this, man, this lightweight conversation right now, we could literally talk about this for another hour and a half, you know what I'm saying? Just from everything going on. I mean, Tony Ferguson could be back. Conor McGregor, is that a bad style matchup for Khabib? Because Conor McGregor, if Khabib tries to strike with Conor, Conor could exploit that. But at the same time, it seems like a good matchup for Khabib because he's such a dominant grappler. But what about Tony Ferguson? And then we still got to talk about these 3 guys, Poirier, Alvarez, Lee. So if we're not going to be able to talk our way into, who's the rightful champion until Khabib defends again, or who's the rightful #1 contender until Eddie Alvarez or Kevin Lee or Dustin Poirier end up scrapping. So I think that's the best case scenario. out of those 3 dudes, 2 of them got to fight, and I would do it on a big card. We got UFC 225 and 226, which are insanely stacked already. UFC 226 could probably still use a couple big fights. It's not full all the way. UFC 227 in California, I believe, the Staples Center, TJ Dillashaw, Cody Garbrandt too. I would try and get, if I were one of these dudes, instead of just hoping to get picked by Khabib when he comes back, I would just try and, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to fight one more time, especially if you're Eddie Alvarez or Kevin Lee. Dustin Poirier's got a better case right now than Eddie Alvarez because he's got 2 wins since the no contest. But at the same time, Alvarez is a former champion. So I think if I were Eddie Alvarez, for sure, he's going to need to at least take one more fight. It's not going to be, oh, what about Nate Diaz, who talked about coming back? Eddie Alvarez. Another topic for another day, man. We can talk about this. We probably will be talking about this until Khabib comes back, or until one of these guys, 2 of these guys, get scheduled to fight. And that's what I think is best case scenario. So we'll see what happens. I'll keep you guys updated. Let the full-time family know what you think about this insane UFC lightweight picture right now. Who do you think should get the shot if Tony Ferguson's injured and Conor McGregor fights someone else? Should it be Poirier, Alvarez, or Kevin Lee after last night's performance? Or do you guys agree with me and think that maybe 2 of them should just battle and settle it that way? Fuck, dog, this is crazy because the no contest, that seems like an insane rematch. Poirier versus Alvarez, the rematch. The winner of that's most likely #1 contender. They'll jump Kevin Lee. Maybe Kevin Lee fights one other time versus James Vick. Who knows? Maybe he'll win. He called it. It's very likely because these guys are likely. All of these guys are going to have to fight one more time before fighting for the title, because what we're about to cover is the Tony Ferguson injury update, and it looks like he's going through some extreme healing. He might be back sooner than later, so holy smokes. Let the full-time family know what you think in the comments. I'm out. And as always, thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button and also hit the notification bell right next to it so you're notified every time I upload a video. I'm out.
This is #1 bullshit.